Welcome to the Ton of Tone Podcast. Ton of Tone Podcast, where we sit and talk with local artists about guitars, gear, and everything music. Turn up your volume and enjoy the show.
All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 2 of the Ton of Tone podcast. Today we have an amazing person, the guy who actually introduced me to working on guitars at a really young age, Mr. Al Martinez. Give it up. Yeah. So this is actually a really special one for me. I was really young at the time, and I remember Al was playing in a lot of different bands, and we'll get a little bit into that a little bit later. But I remember I would always kind of trip out on my dad's guitars, and Al would always kind of swing by, and he would talk about gear with him, and it was something that I was always really tripped out on because he had so much knowledge, and being able to see someone like open up a guitar and like do all those things was super amazing. So once again, Mr. Al Martinez, and Al, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did we meet, and how long has it been since we've known each other?
I don't know. How old are you, dude?
Oh, 26 now.
At least 20 years, right?
Yeah, I think
It's probably been at
Yeah.
least 20 years that
Yeah.
I've known you. Yeah, because you were tiny. Like, remember, seeing you were with your dad at, I think we were playing at the Fonda. And
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
So Moonlight Cruisers, I was playing in Moonlight Cruisers at the time. I remember seeing you out in the crowd. You were like a little kid, dude. and it was the day that we played with Link Ray. It was Link Ray.
Oh, wow.
So-
yeah, that was.
So that was,
Yeah, that was a
long
good
time ago.
while.
So
Man, that is wild. For those of you guys that don't know, I'll actually, if you want to let everybody know what bands you've played in over the years.
Oh man, you know what? Okay, so you know that scene in Kill Bill where it's Samuel L. Jackson. He's the
Yeah.
church organ player. He's saying, "I've been this, I've been that."
Yeah.
First band that we played with was a punk band, and we were like La Puente based. It was Foursquare, and then we started our first rockabilly band that was in like the mid 90s, and that was Sundown Trio.
Nice.
And then, I mean, after that, we had another band with an accordion player, the Sundown Cuatro. Then we started Moonlight Cruisers, Moonlight Trio. I've played on albums with a lot of people over the years, I guess.
Nice. Heck yeah.
Like, the
Yeah.
beginning of the pandemic when there was like nothing to do. I'm like,
Yeah.
I got to post freaking pictures of all the albums that I recorded on,
Yeah.
of all the different people. And I was like some like 20 something albums from different people that I've been.
Wow. That is
I've been
super
on.
cool, man.
So I don't know. I mean, that Moonlight Trio, Abbey Girl and the Real Deal.
Cool.
For a while, I played with Sugar Daddies.
Mhm.
Aaron and I just started another band, Martinez Brothers.
Okay.
I've been backing up Peter from the Go Getters when he's out here and when I'm available for probably the past 15 years. When Laura Rebel Angel from New York comes out, we back her up. We're screaming Rebel Angels. I guess that's all I could think of at the moment. But
Nice.
another band I was playing with for a while and recording an album with them. Tremoloco. I used to play with Los Fabulocos.
Nice.
After Kid Ramos left the band, they're like, well, let's get Al because he can play all the music. And
Damn.
so,
Yeah.
I was in the Flashbacks for a while.
Oh yeah. Damn. Oh, I forgot about that
Yeah.
one right there.
This
Damn.
is 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago,
Yeah.
probably.
Damn.
So-
I think I think Mikey
Yeah.
had left, and then
No, Mikey was still in the band.
oh, okay.
And then I couldn't do a gig. And then Sergio went in.
Okay.
And then they're like, oh, well, that just feels right. And I'm like, cool,
Yeah.
go for it. You know, like,
Yeah.
not that I didn't want to do it. It's just
Yeah.
that like I was already playing with a ton of bands
Yeah.
anyway, you know? So
Yeah. And I know we got like a pretty wild, weird schedule for practices and all that stuff. It could be a little chaotic and stuff. And
yeah, a little
especially if
bit.
you were playing with so many other
But
people.
not only
man.
that, and then like working, you know?
Yup. Heck
So-
yeah. Big factor, man.
But yeah, I guess I played with a few bands over the years, and
Nice.
yeah, let's see. I'm trying to do some math here. And then I think I've probably been playing in bands, like gigging
Mm-hmm.
for 26 years.
Wow.
So about the
That's
time you were
awesome.
like born.
Yeah. Like roughly 96-ish.
Yeah,
Wow.
so something like 96, 96.
Yeah.
So even in like 97, I was still in high school. And I would play gigs and then like go to school the next day. So like I'd be
That's
playing at
awesome.
like a random bar in Montebello on a Thursday night, and like you
Yeah.
know, Friday I'd have to go to school.
Yeah. Such
party.
different times, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we always talk about this. We started playing music pre-digital era
Oh, okay.
because there was
Yeah.
no like cell phone video.
Yeah.
Even
no,
like Moonlight Cruisers,
yeah.
like that was barely like the tail end of like all the digital filming, you know.
Yeah.
So like all the cell phone videos and all that, like
Even the
just
camcorder stuff. I was watching some of your guys' stuff from years ago, not too long ago, and someone had a camcorder, and I was like, wow, like nobody had a cell phone in sight, and that was something that I
that
was
was exactly.
wow.
Yeah.
That's actually what I remember the most from being like little and going to any shows in general was like everybody really lived in the moment, and it wasn't so much like let me show everybody this moment too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like that has killed live music in a sense because
Yeah.
everybody's like, I don't need to go to the show. I know so and so is going to be there. He's going
Yeah.
to post some live clips. Don't worry about it. I'm not
Yup.
worried about it. I'm just going to stay home,
Yeah,
you know?
dude, that stuff is pretty crazy. I have a couple clients that are a little bit younger, and they tell me about their gigs nowadays, and I'm like, they're like, yeah, everybody's you know, like it's so cool to see them post on the stories and stuff like that. But you know, it's a little weird because like we spend so much time like trying to get these new songs down and do all this stuff, but they're not really engaged in it like all the way. They're not really like
Mhm.
you know, like they play in like heavier bands, so there's pits and stuff, but it's just not like that. It's almost like an awkwardness sometimes, but it definitely trips me out.
The difference is, and I think you're going to realize this as soon as I say it, because we have been this. If you play dance music, people are more engaged. Think about flashbacks. People are dancing. And the same
Yeah.
thing with like, we're playing cumbia or whatever, you know, and it's like,
Mhm.
people are dancing.
Yeah.
So like, there's less like cell phone,
Yeah.
or there's like shaky cell phone, you know, from somebody's tia, woo,
Yeah.
like dancing out there, you know.
Yep. With the
So-
signature beer shot.
Yes. So I mean, like I can kind of see where they're coming from. Where
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, they're not engaged because they're like they're listening, but they're filming. But like,
yeah.
not everybody's gonna be like in the pit. You know what I mean? But like, if people
Yeah.
are gonna go see the flashbacks, they know they're gonna go dance.
Yeah.
Or if people
definitely.
come see like Moonlight Trio, they know, oh well, we're gonna dance to some cumbias. That's like
Yeah.
the whole fucking point of going. If
Yeah.
not, like, why go if you're not gonna dance?
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely feel that, man.
So
So over the years, you were saying that you were playing in high school and stuff like that. What were you using back then as far as gear? Because I know it was really prominent to use. One of the main things that was around was tube amps. It
Yeah.
was still really common.
honestly, where is it?
Oh,
There's the super reverb.
it's right there. It's in the back.
Okay,
Actually-
so it's in the case. So there is a 1966 suit. It was made in April 1966 because that's the code on the tube chart.
Okay.
I was using a 1966 super reverb
Ooh,
for years. It belonged to my uncle.
okay.
But he never really played. Like he played, but he didn't like play a guitar like,
Yeah.
So he just used it like whatever, like he didn't care.
Damn.
So then he's like, "Oh yeah, you can have it." I'm like, "Oh."
Oh man.
So I used that for a long time. And I think it was sometime after like Andrew passed away. So probably after 2009, I think that's when I sold it to your dad because
Okay.
I needed some money and
Yeah.
I had none.
It
It was,
Yep.
so, but
Wow.
hopefully if your dad ever sells it, I can buy it back for the price that I sold it to him because it was a good deal.
Yeah, heck yeah. I remember that time, man. I remember he came home and he was like, "Jake, you're not gonna believe how amazing this amp sounds." And I was like, "What?" Like, I think at the time, dude, funny, I was like really into Mesa Boogie for some reason. I was like, "It's better than a Mesa." He's like, "It's not the same as a Mesa. It's its own. It's a Fender. Like it's a
It only has one rectifier. It's not triple rectified."
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, all right." I don't even remember how old I was, but I remember when he played it and he was using his tube screamer with it. I was like, "Oh shoot, I've never heard an amp like that before."
Yeah.
And yeah, even just going straight, phenomenal sounds from it, especially using a Fender guitar and
Yeah.
Tally Strat, whatever. Just amazing sounds. And did you use any pedals back in the day?
Yeah, I used so like my secret trick, and you'll know this now.
Exclusive, just
Exclusive.
for you guys.
And I stopped using it years ago, but like my secret trick that I used is I always had a Boss bass EQ.
Oh,
What's on your dad's pedal board?
Yep.
Right?
Oh man.
So there's a Boss bass EQ there.
Nah.
So I used a Boss bass EQ and a like a first generation Boss blues driver.
Nice.
And then I had like, I don't know, just random delays. But that was like a big part of the sound that I had for years.
Yeah.
Like during like that whole Moonlight Cruisers era.
That's sick.
And then like just random delays or something.
Yeah.
For a while I was taking out a reverb tank and I had like a reissue Bassman, like the 410
Yeah.
reverb tank. I mean,
Heavy.
I just used all kinds of, and like for some stupid reason, I was using the super reverb and the Bassman at the same time.
Man, damn.
And we were just like way too loud. But I mean, we were raging back then. It was just
man. Those were good times, man.
Now I use I have a deluxe reverb tone master that I use on 5 watts.
Yeah. Dude, it's crazy. I had this conversation I think with my dad not too long ago, but I was like, all I care about is having my gear lightweight, and if it's decently loud, that's all I care. Like, because I had a Supro Coronado T that I was using for a while, and man, my freaking back, man, that thing was freaking heavy. But what's funny is it's nowhere compared to like the 66 Super Reverb.
No.
That shit is heavy, and then especially because you guys use cases,
the
with
road
it too.
cases.
Yeah. So I can't even imagine loading that into a car.
Oh no, it's easy. You just tilt it on the side and go.
Oh, okay.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy. Now getting it upstairs.
Oh yeah.
No, that's not the business.
Yeah.
Actually, so I have that, and I know you have a tone master too.
Yep. Twin reverb.
I got the deluxe reverb, but I also picked up one of the deluxe reverb custom hand wireds.
Oh wow. Okay.
That is killer.
Is that like the tweed looking version?
No, it's a regular like blackface deluxe, but it's like the hand wired version.
Nice.
And that one sounds killer. I used it actually a few weeks ago when we played. Peter was out here, so we played a Go Getter show, and I used it. And I'm like, damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny. Because over the years, I know both you and I, and more you for the longest time since I could remember, as we're always just looking for new gear and always just on the hunt. And I remember, man, for a while I was like in that Mesa Boogie train, and then I started getting into the hand wired stuff, and I was like, oh wow. But something that always tripped me out was it always just sounded good at a certain volume, and I was always like, it's a little too loud for me though. I can't go that loud. So, what you were saying earlier about like how loud you guys were playing. I mean, dude, those were the times where everybody was just like it felt like the energy was different because everything was louder and it
It,
was like almost
yes.
less controlled, but you had control because you were kind of adjusting.
But I always did a certain trick. Instead of like pushing my volume higher on my pedals, I
Mhm.
would bring the volume down so I could turn
Oh,
the amp up louder.
okay.
So that's like the secret
Yeah,
is, yeah, you want to have like a little bit of overdrive sound or whatever. And you can turn the dirt up on your pedal, but turn the
yeah.
volume down and you can turn your amp up louder.
Nice. Okay. Kill,
So it's kind of
kill.
like, well, I mean, there's a term, they call it underdrive
Yeah,
instead of overdrive, right? So
yeah,
you can kind of like underdrive your amp a little bit.
yeah.
So I was kind of doing this in order to get like a good sound at whatever volume they were telling me to set my amps to.
Okay.
So I was like,
Yeah,
well, I kind of want to have that dirt, but then like I don't want to be too loud. So
yeah.
let me bring the volume down on everything.
Mhm.
So like I'll just bring the volume down and it's kind of how I learned how to do some stuff.
Man,
So
it's
that's why I was playing 240-watt amps
yeah,
because I had the volume way down on my pedal board.
yeah.
So then like I would like turn the volume to maybe like about a 4 on my amps.
Oh, okay. That
If that
seems
makes
like
sense.
a good breaking point.
Yeah, that's like
4,
right
3,
before.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like about 4, between 4 and 5 is right when you're starting to get that breakup a little bit,
yeah.
like on the Fender
Yup.
stuff. So, but it also depends on, how hard you're hitting the preamp tubes, what preamp
Yeah,
tubes you have in there. Like you have differences between like the 12AX7, the
yeah,
12AY7, the 12AT7. So it depends
yeah.
on like what you have in your V1.
Yep.
So like that all, yeah, that all
Everything
depends. That's
factors in.
just, mhm.
So over the years, you've been mostly a Fender kind of Gretsch kind of guy. So what's been your favorite like guitar over the years? That because I know pretty much every guitar player has gotten rid of a guitar that they didn't want to get rid of. So do you have one of those or
Actually, I brought a guitar.
Oh,
You told me to
okay.
bring a piece of gear.
Yeah. Okay, so
Okay.
this okay.
So, I mean, I kind of don't give a shit about anything anymore.
Okay.
Like, I don't,
Okay.
honestly,
Yeah.
like, I've gotten to a point in my life where, like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's whatever. So, all of my Fender guitars are actually Squires that I just bought.
Yep. Dude,
I mean,
this freaking Squire has been coming out with
yeah.
killer stuff.
And because I know how to do all the work on them, it's
Yeah.
like I can get a guitar for like $200 and buy a few $100 worth of parts and
Mhm.
have a much nicer guitar.
Yep.
So, but
That says a lot. I've also talked to a couple of clients and I've told them that because they want to go and buy like a $2,500 guitar from somewhere, and I'm like, hey man, you don't have to spend that much. Like you could spend like 800, maybe 900. You just have to mod whatever you're gonna do, and
mhm.
you could build it up to sound really, really good, man. And
Well, here's the whole
yeah.
thing: reversible mods.
Oh
So
yeah,
if you
yeah,
ever sell it, you
yeah.
can just put it back to normal.
Yep,
And like, oh, here it is.
yep,
And then you sell off the other parts and like you
Yeah.
make all your money back.
Yeah, especially Fender parts. I mean, those are
Yeah.
like the Fender style parts. They're a lot easier to replace and
Oh,
do all
completely.
that stuff. But definitely the Tally stuff is pretty awesome. There's some amazing bridges out there now. Vega Trem just came out with a Tally
I
Trem.
saw, yeah, you sent
Yeah.
that to me. That looks really
Yeah.
cool. Actually,
was-
I just put a Glendale
Oh shoot.
bridge plate and saddles on an Esquire that I have.
Nice. That's killer. Is it heavy?
And, no, it's
No.
like a thin one,
Oh,
but it's
shit.
like cold rolled steel and it's like super thin. So it's like pretty like resonant and it has like this kind of high pitched thing.
Okay.
And what I want to do next is, so I usually use Callahan
Yeah.
bridges and they're thicker. They're like probably about twice the thickness, but they're like stainless,
Yeah.
so they're like these solid chunks of stainless that they make the Callahams out of. And
Yeah.
they're pretty nice. But I just wanted to try the Glendale. It's not bad. It's pretty good. It's really
Nice.
resonant and it's really lively sounding. It's really like, I don't want to necessarily say pingy,
Yeah.
but it's got like this kind of zippy sound
Nice.
to like the resonance when you're playing it, you know,
Yeah.
like it's really acoustically lively.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Um, the terminology that we use for some of the people that may not know,
oh yeah.
it can get really in detail, man. I had a conversation earlier. Um, I had a client bring in a Gretsch and had me install some P90 noiseless Fralin pickups.
Okay.
I think Fralin.
Fralin, yeah, the
Um,
Andy Fralin.
yeah, and
Mhm.
I was like, he had some TV Jones in there, and I was like, it's less high end, not like crazy burning your ears, but it has a lot of mid range punch. It's like it's different, and I'm like I can't really say it
The Fralins.
differently. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Fralin pickups are pretty much they're known for having this very unique mid-range
yeah,
peak, and like kind of like Seymour Duncan's too. They're like very
Yeah.
mid-rangey.
hmm
I kind of prefer flatter, you know. So
Yeah.
like when I play a guitar pickup that has like a very prominent mid-range peak, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
let me scoop the mids on my amp.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah, dude. It's wild because once you hear so much gear and from like, I mean, damn, down to cables and different things, like it really matters, like what pickups you have, what kind of capacitor you're throwing in there, and
mhm.
different things different mods you can add to volumes and everything, and it's pretty wild. Bringing out.
So let me grab this.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you're talking about something.
Okay.
So let's see. I bought this in like the middle of like the Moonlight Cruiser era,
Yeah.
and I used it for a long time. And then again, like probably at some point after Andrew passed away, I didn't have a job for a while. I lost my job. So I sold off a bunch of gear. And then actually I recently got this back like within the past year or so.
Nice.
And it took me a while to get it like set up right to play because like
Yep.
you know, when I sold it, I probably didn't know as much about setting up guitars and doing work on my guitars as like that was 2009.
Yeah.
And then like now I just know a lot more,
Yeah.
you know? So like back in the day, I was just like, oh, it's just how it plays. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Whatever. I'm going to play it because it's a Gretsch. It's cool.
Yeah.
But what happened is, so this is like, I think the second year Fender took over
Okay.
on Gretsch.
The mildly still good.
Yeah.
era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good, except for they didn't route the pickup cavities down low enough, and like so I had to have a friend of mine like route out the pickup cavity under here so I can get the bridge pickup low,
Yeah.
because I couldn't get it low enough without touching the strings. Like it wasn't set to like the action that I wanted it to
Yeah.
be set to, because it was touching the strings if it was like that. So you had to like drop that down.
Yeah.
And then they had some shims in the neck, so I just popped them out like with like a little chisel and popped out the strings and popped out the shims, and I was able to just kind of get the neck and everything adjusted right.
Nice.
And then I had so this is a True Arc bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, those are beast, man. Those are super cool.
So first I had a regular True Arc, like 9.5 radius. This is a 9.5 radius neck. So I got a regular True Arc 9.5 radius, but then like it was still too high.
Yeah.
And then like I put sandpaper on the top, and I was trying to like shimmy, like you kind of shimmy sand the bridge.
It's a long ass process though.
But like I'm like, oh my God, I did it for like ever. And then like let me set it up again. I thought that would be enough. I'm like, no, it's still like a couple.
Mm-hmm.
It's a couple it's like a 16th too high still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
And I'm like, oh man, this is going to take forever. So luckily True Arc makes another bridge that's a low profile one. So I just bought that.
Oh,
that was fine.
Heck yeah. Damn.
But yeah, talking about everything, like I changed the pickups
at
one point, like this year, and I had some Supertrons in there.
Oh, that's cool.
But
That's an interesting sound.
They just weren't. Yeah, they're like, again, I kind of like how these are kind of have like a little bit of sparkle and they have some bass.
Yeah.
But the Supertrons are a little bit too mid-rangey for me, for my ear. And they were brand new, so they were all like shiny compared to the rest of the guitar. And I'm like, it just doesn't like.
Yep.
All the nickel is like, all the nickel parts are all aged and look old or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Just from playing it for so many years. So then I just put the original pickups back in there, just because, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's other than that, it's pretty much. Oh, I cleared out the pick guard.
Okay.
I took the dice off, and I took off the name.
Okay.
Up here, but it's a Setzer. So it's a Setzer signature that I bought in like 2005.
How much was this thing, man, when you got it? Oh my God! Out of all things that happen right now. Okay.
That's all good. No, it's a poly finish, dude.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It'd be a different story if it was the nitro finish.
Yeah,
it's poly finish, so it doesn't matter. Honestly, I bought it for a really good deal, well underpriced. I basically got it for cost back in 2005 when I bought it.
Wow.
So, and like now they're like, they sell for like $3,000 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're ridiculous. But this is the Tiger Flame.
Yeah. That's
finish.
Exactly what I was going to say right now. This is probably more like the price of Tiger has gone up ridiculous now.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is.
Well, I've seen a couple here and there, and yeah, they're like somewhere between like 25 to $3,000 range.
Okay.
You know, so they're still not like super crazy, like used market.
Wow.
So
this thing is awesome, man.
But I have it dialed in. So yeah, I'm lucky I was able to get it back from the friend that I had sold it to. I traded him some other guitars.
Okay.
And you know, he got a good deal on it.
Yeah.
I was giving good deals back in 2009. I was giving all kinds of good deals, you know.
When everybody wasn't an expert at guitars and freaking amps and everything, I remember, man, I was young, dude, and I remember going on Craigslist all the time and like looking for gear, and you can get some amazing gear for cheap, man. It was so cool. Like it was guys that wanted to trade a lot and do all that stuff, and now with Facebook Marketplace offer up, I think it's 5, it's something 5. Yeah, all those platforms everybody has access to, you know, like freaking eBay and Reverb.com. So they're going based off of those prices and stuff. And it's like, dude, that's not always what's
okay. Know? So the biggest indicator on price is what is it selling for? What did it sell for? Yeah. Like you can do searches on eBay and on Reverb that tell you all the sold listings.
Okay.
And you can organize them by price, or you can organize them by like most recent or oldest.
Okay.
And you can see, okay, if I was trying to sell this, what is the going rate on this guitar?
Yeah.
That just sold maybe within the past few days on Reverb.
Yeah.
What did it sell for? You know?
Definitely, man.
So I kind of like base my pricing off of that whenever I'm always buying, selling, trading.
Yeah.
You know,
dude, that's just I think that's the life of a tech, man. That's exactly like
you always read about stuff. You always want to try new stuff out. Like,
especially because we could work on it at any time. It's it just makes it more fun. It's like, someone's like, I have a fucked up neck. I'm like, is it really fucked up, or you don't know what the neck is doing? Or
at this point, people tell me like, the neck is fucked up. I'm like, that sucks. See you later.
Too bad. Yeah.
But if you need work, see Jake.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah. Dude, it trips me out, man, because like I've had some interesting run-ins with guys on like OfferUp and stuff, and coming across gear, and I'm just like, what exactly is wrong with it? And they're like, the action's really, really high. I'm like, how high? You have a ruler or something? And they're like, no, I don't know how to gauge it. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, I look at it, I'm like, oh man, like
it's just the neck.
Yeah, just the neck. We have to bring the bridge down, you know? And
okay. I'm gonna give a little public service announcement right now.
Okay.
Like twice a year at least, you should probably have your guitar set up professionally because of the climate and how it gets either more humid or less humid. That makes your neck either you have too much relief or not enough relief.
Yep.
So you have to adjust the neck, and that's really it.
Yep.
That's the secret.
Exactly.
I'm giving away all the secrets.
Yeah.
But you really have to have
statements.
your neck adjusted like twice a year.
Yep.
It's going to be like twice a year, usually like roughly
Summer.
6 months apart, like summer and winter
Mhm.
is when you really see like the really crazy swings on, oh, my guitar sucks. It doesn't play right. Oh,
Mhm.
it's like,
Why isn't it staying
it's
in
Freddy
tune?
now, or the action is too high, like,
Mhm.
well, yeah, it's because the fucking neck.
Yep.
Go see Jake. He'll do it for you.
I had a couple clients this summer that they were like, dude, it was in such great condition. I have no idea what happened. And I'm like, you got to consider, man, like it's wood.
Yeah.
It's
No,
wood.
it's wood.
And there's
Yeah.
moisture levels to everything. There's where do you store it? Do you have it in your case? So many different factors. And sometimes guys also don't change their strings, which I feel plays into it as well. Cause like if their strings are rusted and then there's other things going on that like your fretboard's all messed up and you're allowing all these other elements to get in it, just
Mhm.
adds to it big time.
Yeah.
But I know that you brought a special piece of gear. If you want to show everybody
Oh, we're
the
we're gonna
exclusive one.
we're gonna transition.
Yep.
So Jake told me to bring bring anything
Yeah.
and bring any instrument that's important to you.
Yeah.
So I brought that one because that was my Moonlight Cruiser guitar,
Yeah.
and I got rid of it, and then I got it back.
It's back.
And yeah, it's a solid guitar.
Heck yeah.
But I pretty much only play Gretches and fucking Squires now. Because after
Yeah.
having so many Gretches, you can't afford that many
Yeah.
Fenders, so you have to play Squire.
Yeah.
And then after getting like the nice fancy hand wired Fender amp, and then I have a hand wired Vox as well. So like
Nice.
that one is a great amp.
Kill.
And that is probably the amp that I've had for like the longest time.
Okay.
But so Jake knows that I've always liked pedals.
Since I could remember
I've
anything
always
about
had
music,
tons
this
of
guy-
pedals. I just like pedals.
Yep.
So I just brought my pedal board because I love pedals. So even Jake was asking me about some pedals the other day. I'm like, oh,
Yep.
well, yeah, but that won't work because you have to have an isolated
Yep.
output on that.
Exactly.
And the milliamp output has to be this certain range for
Mhm.
this pedal to work. So
Strymon, for anybody that's asking. Strymon.
it was a Strymon. Yeah. Basically any digital pedals.
Yeah.
You have to have a isolated output with high
Mhm.
milliamps because they have like a big milliamp draw.
Yeah.
Like I think the Strymon stuff is like 200 or 300 milliamp draw or
Yeah.
something like that.
It's crazy. I noticed the difference with its functions because it was functioning weird with the daisy chain.
Yeah, it
And I
won't
was
work
like,
with the daisy chain.
yeah.
Yeah, because it creates a ground loop in there, so you
Yeah.
hear a buzz, and then it doesn't draw enough milliamps because it's fighting the other pedals for it.
Yep.
So it creates dirty sound,
Yeah.
and you don't want dirty sound. You want
Nice,
you want a
clean.
ton of clean tone.
Yep. Exactly. So this is an exclusive
right.
one.
So I brought my pedal board just because I freaking love pedals.
Let me if you want to prop it up
Yeah.
and you can kind of talk into the mic a little bit. I'm gonna get a little bit of a close up of it.
Okay. So this is like this is my big pedal board, and then I have like two smaller ones. Because I'm ridiculous. Really, that's it. But on this one, I have the Strobo Stomp tuner. It's a good tuner. It's got a buffer on there. You always need a buffer input and a buffer output. So this Strymon has a buffer output. This has the buffer input. And what that does is that drives your signal so you don't get like a degradation of like signal loss or anything. So it's always important to have those buffers to drive your cables, especially if you're like using kind of like longer cables and everything. After that, I have so tuner into the Keeley compressor. And it's just a basic 2-knob Keeley compressor from back in the day. I've been using these for years. That goes into the boost side of this Nocturne Brain, Mystery Brain. So this pedal here, I freaking love it. I have 3 of these. Because I'm ridiculous. So this is basically like a preamp, and it's based on a very specific preamp from a tube, or from a tape echo.
Okay.
So, and check out Nocturne Brain, and you can learn all about that.
Insane pedals, man. They have such good pedals, dude.
Yeah,
I can't even.
totally.
Yeah.
So from there, actually, it has an output, and it's like a TRS cable that you use, and so you can use the boost, and you can run it into your overdrive pedals. So then after that, I have it running into these 3.
Okay.
So again, I'm like on a major Nocturne Brain kick for the past few years.
Yeah.
So I have a fluid drive. I have a Junior Barnyard. This is the new version, and then a Junior Barnyard, but this is the older version with like its own kind of boost on there.
Okay.
But I like leaving this side on all the time.
Okay.
So this is on all the time. You can have it like, so this is flat bass or no, basically like kind of just regular, and that is like a boosted bass. This here is just regular treble, or you have it up like that, and it kind of like rolls the treble off, so you can get kind of like fatter sounds for like single coil, like Fender stuff. Actually, the Strat sounds really good with the bass boosted and the treble cut.
Nice.
And then usually if I'm running the Strat, I have this boost on, but I turn it down. It just kind of fattens it up a little bit. Cool. It sounds really cool. And it has like this really cool kind of like, you know, when you're like really cranking a small tube amp, and then like that bass is kind of getting like a little farty almost.
Yeah.
Like that cool, like really, like you only get it from like overdriving an amp. That's what this does.
That's tight.
So, and then here's another one. This is like the newer version of the Barnyard.
Okay.
And I just put it on here because I'm in a transitional period. I have like a ton of pedals. I'm sorry. It's just, and then like for an overdrive, I like this one because this is, so this is the fluid drive.
Okay.
And it's like a medium kind of gain overdrive. I use it really kind of light on the overdrive, but I like this because it has like a bass cut and a treble cut. So basically this is like full bass, full treble. Okay. I pretty much leave it on full bass.
Nice.
But then like I'll kind of cut the treble and kind of like season it to where like to kind of fit the guitar that I'm playing.
Yep.
They're not always on. This is always on. Depending on the guitars that I'm playing, these are going to be on.
Okay. Nice.
But
the Flint there.
Yeah,
okay.
But the preamp and the Abbey mode are always on.
Okay.
These two are always on. I like the Abbey mode because it adds like a little touch of like clarity almost, and it adds more touch sensitivity.
Yeah. This pedal tripped me out the first time that I used it. I couldn't believe like how it's just amazing what it does to your tone. I can't even really explain it. You just have to use one depending on your rig, but
I think
it's awesome.
It kind of like fattens up your sound, but doesn't, and it kind of adds clarity.
Yeah.
So it kind of like, it makes your sound a little bit more articulate, but it also adds like this like nice bloom to your note as well. Like it's hard. You just have to use it.
Yeah, exactly.
And for the longest time, I'm like, okay, you know, whatever. It's just like a preamp pedal. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And then like Tavo is really cool. Tavo actually hooked me up with a dyno brain, and then I tried. I'm like, oh, I get it now.
Yep.
Duh.
Yep.
It just sounds better.
Yeah. That's all that matters.
So after trying one, I'm like, oh yeah, that's like I got rid of my bass EQ.
Oh,
you know,
rest in peace. Rest in peace.
So I didn't need the bass EQ after like using these. So it's like, it just changed everything for me.
That's killer, man.
And the delay on here. So, okay. So it has, again, like a TRS loop cable that I run in here, running through these pedals, and then from here, it runs back into here.
Okay.
So you can boost all your dirt and everything before you get to the delay.
Yeah.
So then, like, it's all going into the delay after that.
Okay.
As opposed to, like, if you had all these pedals after the delay, then you would be just dirtying your repeats.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You don't want, you definitely don't want that.
So,
the slapback on this pedal is like, it just sounds so good, man. Sounds so good. I know it's really popular to use like the carbon copy. That's a popular one, and then like a DD3 is popular as well.
I've had all those.
But
yes.
This is that sound. Like, it is the sound.
For me personally, this is like the best sounding combination of, like, I mean, all of this.
Yeah.
In one pedal is great.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
It's a really great sounding delay, and it's a really great sounding preamp. And the thing that sold me was the fact that it has that TRS input on the side to where you can boost, you can put your dirt pedals in that loop and boost them.
That's awesome.
That was the game changer for me. And that's why, like, I probably have, like,
Yep.
why I have 3 of them. So,
dude, totally understandable. So how's this Strymon working for you?
Okay, I have 3 of these as well. So I guess you could say it's working out.
Dude,
okay.
It's hilarious because this is literally like how everything is. As soon as you find something that is just, it just sounds great, you're like, you know what? Yeah, I can get another one.
That's the whole thing is, like, I like to have backups of everything because like, literally, like, you're talking about carbon copy delays. Yeah. I've used them, and I've had them go out on me in the middle of, like, a tour, like in the middle of a show. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, so I stopped buying carbon copy delays.
Yep. I stopped getting electro-harmonic stuff.
Oh, electro-harmonic stuff is not reliable at all.
It sucks, man, because they make some interesting
They
stuff.
make some really cool sounding stuff.
Yeah,
but
if you play often,
if you're like gigging and you don't have like a guitar tech, no, dude, just don't do it.
I've had a delay trip on me one time, memory boy delay, and I never forgot that feeling, man. I was like, oh my God, this is not happening right now, man. Like, this is the worst time. Yeah.
I think that's the whole reason why I like certain brands of things, because I know like they're reliable. I've never had any problems with any of these brands.
Nice.
So the Flint, I mean, it's a pretty good spring reverb sound, and I don't use it like heavy. Like I used to use spring reverb back in the day, and then it has a really good, the harmonic tremolo on this. And that's pretty much, I just use it for those. I mean, specifically the spring reverb and specifically the harmonic tremolo.
Nice. Okay.
The harmonic tremolo on here is kind of chewy, but it's not like super phasey like other harmonic tremolos. So it's got a really nice quality, but it's not all like psychedelic sounding.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
So it's like even an earlier, so that's like on the Fender Brownface amps, they have the harmonic tremolo.
Okay.
So those are like the early 62 or 63, whatever. So it's like an earlier, you know.
The good stuff. The good stuff.
So the backside of this is it's a Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2 Plus. And like I was saying, the importance of having a good power supply. This is a pretty good one. I mean, there's tons of other ones out there, but I bought this with this Pedal Train Junior back in the day because like that's just what was available, you know. And you know, you just want to have a clean pedal board. That's it.
How long did it take you to do that wiring right there?
I don't know. Probably too long. Probably too long, but you know what? It doesn't matter because it's clean, it's organized, and it's really easy to change out stuff now, like if I need to. Yep. But you always want to have like your wiring go certain ways, and you don't want to have like you don't want to have your like patch cables running like alongside your power cables for too long because it introduces like noise.
Yep.
As well.
Little frequency stuff.
Yeah.
over the years, I've seen so many different pedal boards, and it always tripped me out when people didn't have something to put their pedals on, and they would roll up with straight pedals, and then
Like in a shoebox, and they
yeah,
take them all out and have
yeah,
the latchkey.
like a suitcase, and everything's just wobbling around.
And
like,
then
I don't know why my pedal doesn't work, and I'm like,
and then they're there on the floor with a 9-volt. That's like that's like all back. That's like punk rock days stuff. Like
yeah, man. And then who the hell has a 9-volt square at a show? That's like the most random size, like a double A, I guess, but a 9-volt square.
Actually, who takes batteries to a show anyway? Like,
yeah,
it's like, oh, we're gonna go see some fucking bands tonight. Make sure you take batteries.
Yeah,
but I guess it could work out because if the band sucks, you just throw the fucking batteries at them, and that's it.
Oh, they started doing some weird shit with the batteries too. Like, they try to market it towards like pedal player, guys who use fucking a shit ton of pedals. And I'm like, just use a regular 9-volt, man. Like, you don't have to go extreme with it. And if you're gonna spend all that money, just get a power supply.
But
like
they do have different sounds.
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah,
but
some of it's a little extreme.
It doesn't matter for I think any of the pedals that we run.
Yeah.
But like if you get into some of the fuzz pedals, they work better with the old school batteries.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's I don't know whatever the
I
don't know because I don't play fuzz pedals. But I just know that like certain fuzz pedals sound better with certain types of batteries. And
definitely.
like the modern batteries that you get, like the Duracells or the Energizers that are all like super
alkaline,
super lithium fucking
bionically made by fucking transformers in Siberia and shit. It trips me out how much marketing is going towards all that stuff.
Really, at the end of the day, it's still a battery. But but like those little Everready batteries with like the little cat on there or whatever, you know, like those are the best ones for fuzz pedals. Apparently, you just go to the 99-cent store. You're good.
Yeah,
you get a ton of them.
Yeah, exactly. And what if you lose it? That's my whole thing. Is what if you lose it? You happen. Oh wait, that guy in the crowd has one right now.
Speaking of losing things,
something
I don't lose are my picks.
Signature picks.
These are the Al Martinez signature picks. I've been making these for like 20 years.
Dude, long time. I have some in my room. I have to freaking find mine, man. I'm pretty sure I have it in like a recuerdo box, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, these are freaking awesome.
This is pretty much all I use.
Yeah.
For like live. I mean, I have a pick box at home that I have like I don't know, like 100 picks in there of all kinds of different materials and like different types of metals and like all the different plastics and everything. But these I started making years ago out of drum cymbals because
let me actually get you holding one up. I'll zoom in with the camera.
So both of my brothers, an older brother and my younger brother, are drummers, and there's always broken cymbals laying around the garage. And one day I got some tin snips and cut some pick shapes out. And then I went to the bench grinder that we had in the garage and I just kind of started making picks. And that's literally what I've been using for the past like 20 something years, probably, because I read an interview with Billy Gibbons saying that like he used Bessels. And he would just get the Bessels and he would like grind them to a point, and that's what he would use. And then I found out that Brian May, the dude from Queen, used like British coins, whatever, like a pence or I don't know, whatever he used, So I'm like, all right, let me try this out. Because I play heavy strings, I play 12 to 52, but I tune standard. So it's like I needed a stiff pick, but I didn't like the thick picks.
Yeah.
Because if you have like a thick pick, you have to, like, I set my action pretty low still.
Yeah.
And if you hit too hard with like a thicker pick, it like causes your string to kind of like fart out a little bit against the fretboard. So in order to get something that's like stiff, but thin and not really have too much like string wobble.
Mm-hmm. Perfect, huh?
And yeah, I've been using these for a long time.
Nice.
And I pretty much never lose them. They do wear out a little bit after like 5-10 years. I don't know. So, and that's like with some pretty like
heavy
constant
gigging,
That's cool, but like even nowadays, I probably don't like half the time because I just whenever I'm playing at home, I just use my fingers.
Yep.
I almost don't even ever like bust out a pick.
Yeah.
But I have to remember to bust out a pick because just to practice sometimes,
Definitely.
Because like I'll go a week without touching a guitar pick and then I get to the gig and I bust out a pick and I play and that's fine. Like I don't know. I don't need a pick to play.
Yeah.
But just to play certain things, I need a pick.
Yeah. Definitely. Articulations, different things that make sense.
Yeah.
So how was the process in making those when you first made them? Like, was there a particular angle that you liked them at, or like certain?
I would just take a pick, whatever shape I wanted to make it out of, and I would use some double-sided tape.
Nice.
And just stick it onto the cymbal piece. I would cut out like these squares. I would stick it on there, trace it with the Sharpie, cut it out with some tin snips, some aviation snips, and then just use a bench grinder and grind it down.
That's cool, man.
And
that's super cool. Did you have to flatten it out?
No. It just like, if you kind of watch here, feel them all, and they kind of have
a little bit of
a little slight curve of the cymbal in one way or another. Like you'll feel it either convex or concave. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So like if you kind of feel them, like you feel like,
That's interesting.
So they're just slightly, like they're not 100% flat.
Yeah.
But you almost can't tell.
Yeah.
That's awesome, but it's just because like that cymbal kind of just has like a slight curve.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can kind of feel it sometimes. Some pieces, it depends on where it cut from the cymbal.
Yeah.
Some pieces are more apparent than others.
These are a little sharp. Like the angle's a little sharp.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just kind of favor that.
Yeah. For sure.
Another pick that I've been kind of liking lately, and I'll show you. I have it here. This is, I think, a Dunlop Primetone 1.5.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I kind of even like shaped it down a little bit more on that point.
Yeah, that's cool. That's interesting.
And it's funny because after all these years, I've been just playing these picks. That's it.
Yeah.
But I think yesterday.
Oh, shoot.
Yesterday, I bought a 3-pack of these because I want to try using these a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But probably not. Yeah. I want to try it.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Yep.
I have a hard time not using these picks because with such a rigid material, it really dictates how you attack the strings.
Yeah.
And you can hit it with different nuances
big time
that interact differently. And you can get you can hit it softer, you can hit it harder, you get like a lot more
different things
out of it.
Yeah.
Because if you have a floppy pick and you hit it soft, it's going to be floppy.
Yeah.
If you have a floppy pick and you hit it hard, it's still going to be floppy. There's not like, but when you have a pick that doesn't give, it really makes you aware of how you hit the strings and what tones you're getting out of your guitar.
For sure. I do want to kind of touch a little bit on your recording process. Speaking about like, getting different nuances out of gear and guitars and amps and stuff. I recalled actually talking to Dave Irish at
Pot of Gold.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to remember exactly the conversation, but I think he had told me it was funny because it's exactly how I would imagine you going to the studio. He was like, "Can you believe like Al brought like quite a few amps in to record?" I'm like, Yeah, hell yeah, I can. Like, dude, he has to get that sound, man. He's like, and everything sounded so good. And I was like, I know, man. I'm like, he has everything dialed in, like to the T. What guitar, what amp,
Yeah.
what song, um, how you have a particular setting on your amp for a solo or something. Um, all those things really add in, um, I forgot what record you guys were working on, or if you were doing something on someone else's record or something. But I never forgot, like, how I think I was there around that time when you had some of your stuff set up. And I was like, wow, with the gear that Dave has and like the different stuff that he can do with all his preamps and, his converters and everything. And then your setup, I was like, wow, this is like the ultimate right here. It's so cool. But tell everybody what that setup was like and the different kind of stuff that you
Well,
had.
pretty much all the time when I go to Dave's studio, I'm always using 2 amps
Oh, okay. Cool.
to record.
Yeah.
So we get like an ABY box, and we'll
Yeah.
split the signal into 2 different amps. And we always want to make sure it's in phase because we're getting room sound as well.
Yeah.
But I'll go with something like mid-rangey, and then I'll go with something scooped. So like think of like maybe something kind of like Voxy.
Yeah.
That has kind of like more mid-range,
Mm-hmm.
and then something more scooped like a Blackface Fender.
Nice. That's
so
cool.
you could kind of combine everything. You can kind of pick and choose and see like, oh, well,
yeah,
because those, they sound different.
Yeah.
They're very different sounding amps. But if you combine them, you have like this kind of fuller spectrum sound.
Mm-hmm.
And you mix that with some of the room mic.
Heck yeah.
And you just get like this really like kind of like, like a big but articulate sound, so to speak.
Yeah.
And Dave and I, we just have a good time recording together.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
One thing that I really enjoyed doing is I kept the same pedal board and I kept the same amps the whole time we recorded the Abbey Girl album that we did there a few years ago. Same pedal board, same amps on every song.
Nice.
But I switched out the guitars. So every single song that sounds different, like, oh, this sounds like a different guitar. Yes.
Exclusive.
It is. It's I was trying to go for like sounding like different guitar players on every track. So I was trying to use different combinations of guitars.
Yeah. And what were you using with the guitars?
Oh, I mean, tallies? Like everything. I had I used this. Well, cool thing about Dave is he's like, well, that sounds like a guitar. Oh, yeah, do you want to buy it? So he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So like Dave has really cool guitars.
Yeah.
I know because they were mine. Some of them,
Yep. He has that like one Strat there.
That was mine.
That's such a good guitar, man. Yeah.
It's a pretty good Strat. I like that Strat. That Strat made me want to get a Strat again after I had played it on the Abbey album,
Yeah.
So, but like, I feel like something like that approach that I took where I just wanted the guitars to sound like the guitars.
Yeah.
And I kept pretty much everything set up just about the same. We had to like tweak little things just because like it might have been like going from a Strat to like an SG was like too beefy and boomy or something, on the SG compared to how it was set up for the Strat. So I had to like tweak little things just on a pedal board. And other than that, like everything, I mean, it was just
nice.
It was just kind of really using the same board. It was a small board. I think I just had I wasn't even using a delay on there because we were using like some of the room.
Oh, nice.
We just used a quick slap back from, I had a Strymon Deco that we're using for there and like kind of part of the preamp. And then I was using, like some of these other pedals that I have here. I used the Flint for reverb and tremolo. I don't know. I mean, just that's just some of the basics. The compressor, a little bit of compression.
What about the Sugar Daddies album that you guys did?
That one I used actually the Super Reverb and the one of the Bassman reissues that I had.
Nice.
So I used that. And again, I mean, like whatever pedal board I had at that time. And I had a Tele, I had a Jazzmaster, and I used Chuck's Gretsch that he had.
Nice. That's
So like I always like to layer my tracks. I layer
Yeah.
everything like pretty heavily in the studio.
Mhm.
I'll do maybe 2 to 3 rhythm tracks and then like a lead track.
nice.
And I usually try to switch out all the guitars on any of that I'm doing to get like different kind of tones and different flavors.
Yeah.
You know.
Fill in the space there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're basically I've always played like with mostly like all 3-piece bands,
Yeah.
you know. So trying to fill in that some of that space like where we don't have like the extra
Mhm.
instruments.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
you have to fill it in with like other tones and other
Yeah.
sonic aspects.
I know you were doing some octave stuff on that album.
No,
No?
it wasn't.
It
It
wasn't
was
octave?
octave. Well, it was,
Yeah.
but it was it was a mandolin
Oh, that's
plugged
what
into
it
an
was.
amp. It was like it was a
that's
mandolin that we reamped into like a Marshall.
Oh, shoot. That is wild, dude.
I think that's Walking Away. Walking.
Yeah.
So it sounds like
Yeah.
an octave guitar, but it's
Yeah.
actually I played it on mandolin.
Damn, I always thought it was you were doing octaves on the guitar with that one. I was like, oh, whoa, that sounds wild right
I just
there, man.
figured out how to play it on mandolin. I'm like, it would be fun.
Yeah. Let's try this out. Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about working with Dave is like,
Yeah.
I was telling him, hey, Dave, you know what would be fun? And he's like, I'm listening.
That's exactly like him, man. Such a cool cat.
Actually, we're just texting him today. My brother and I were just texting him like today. We booked some time at the studio. I'm going to go in and record some instrumentals that I wrote.
Nice. Heck yeah.
So we're going to go in on January 2nd.
There
So,
it is. That's
January 2nd.
awesome, dude.
So looking
Heck
forward to
yeah.
that. We're like literally we're just talking about it today, and
Yeah.
we're
Such
talking about
a-
looking forward to it.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, it's always fun with you guys." I'm like, "Well, that's why I refuse to go to any other studio, Dave."
Yep. Dude, that rapport when you're recording, it really matters, and it can really shape. I really think it could shape an album, you know?
It-
Because like some engineers they're like really like, no, this, and you're like, dude, this is my album, you know? It's kind of act a little weird sometimes,
Mhm.
but Dave has been the coolest guy, like from like his ideas and
Well, exactly.
his input and stuff.
His ideas are always great.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And he knows how to convince you to try
Yeah.
different things.
Exactly. His mindset towards filling in the space is different too.
Yeah.
Like how he approaches it. Because I mean, he's been doing records forever, man. And you could hear it on the records. I was talking to my dad, I think like maybe a week ago or so. We were talking about when Viernes 13 went in there, and I was like, listen to how his production quality is compared to like other bands, or like just the way he does his stuff and how it fits in the mix. It's different. And my dad was like, yeah, it's definitely different, man. I'm like, just Dave's style is perfect. And I remember I used to just pick Dave's brain every time I would go, just like ask him, hey man, what converter do you have? Or, how do you run, Pro Tools or do this and that? And he was always so welcoming, and I love that about that guy. It's something like as musicians, when we
Mhm.
have questions and we were able to ask without feeling like, oh, is he gonna be weird about it or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome, man, and that's how I even started recording on my own and kind of like testing stuff out. And a lot of like the behind the scenes stuff and things like that. Let's talk about how do you remember when we actually made that guitar behind you?
I remember, I think I went over to your house
Yep.
and I just like, yeah, let's do this. It's easy. We just do this,
Yep.
that. And you're like,
Yep.
so cool. And
Yeah.
I think you had like a random neck that you got, right?
Yep. It was
Was it a Squire neck?
Yep, Squire neck.
And then like a Fender body blank that you got that was
Yeah.
like a second, right?
No, it was, I bought that body off of you actually.
You got it from me?
Yeah, from
Okay.
you. And you had told me at the time, and I just wanted to build something. And I remember you were like, it's a defect from Fender though. It had worms,
Uh,
and I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, that's cool." And I still don't care. The whole thing was I wanted to do it, you know.
mhm.
And I remember like vividly you being like, "You should paint it," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, cool." And we hit up one of my dad's friends, and we went down to his car shop, and we painted it there. And I fucked up. I didn't put enough filler in there, and like I didn't sand it properly, so it was just the paint ended up dipping in over the
Yeah.
years and all that shit.
Yeah.
But I remember while you were putting it together and doing all that stuff, and I believe at that time or a little bit before that time, you were working for Fender, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It was probably around that time.
how was working at Fender? I have
Like,
a lot of friends that work at
you-
Fender. So interesting.
You have a
stories.
guitar job.
Yeah.
And you're basically like, I was a tuner tester, and you're basically handling guitars all day,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Yep.
But it's less of a guitar job, and it's just more of a factory job. It's
Yeah.
a factory job because you have to like put out a certain number of guitars, and you can't just like hang out and say, "Oh, woo, I'm gonna fucking play this guitar."
Yeah.
You have to like work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a job. You have to work.
Yeah.
So, and you have to put out X amount of guitars a day, and it's like it's really taxing on the hands. So I worked
Yep.
there for a while. But I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna ruin my hands, I'm just gonna ruin my hands just from playing guitar. I don't want
Yeah.
to like work them to death from
Yep.
setting up other people's guitars. I want to set up my own guitars and
Yeah.
play my own guitars.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather do that.
Yeah. It's crazy because a lot of guys like they don't understand like the kind of torment you can put your hands through while working on instruments
Yeah.
in general.
Think about this. I'll give you a quick rundown. Within 30 minutes, you had to do a complete setup on a guitar.
Oh shit.
And
Okay.
you had to like seat the neck, tighten all those neck screws down, kind of do a quick adjust on the bridge, cut and profile a nut.
Wow.
Like the nut was already in there, but it's
Yeah.
like pretty much just a blank with like the spacing.
Yeah. From
And that's it.
oh.
So you have to
Yeah.
like do like a complete like,
Mm-hmm.
setup
Yeah.
on the nut, truss rod adjustment, action and intonation.
Yeah.
But like you just rough the intonation. We're not there
Yeah.
with like a tuner, you know?
Yeah. And for those of you guys that are kind of shocked maybe at this stuff right now, this is exactly what I talk to some of my clients about, where it's like, don't trust factory setups, man.
No.
It's literally just their
No,
job
it's-
to bang shit out.
Yeah.
And from what I recall, Fender was pushing out a crazy ridiculous amount. It was in the hundreds a day.
Yeah, like 4 something.
Yeah.
Like we basically, I think we had to do like, like 12 guitars a day
Yeah.
each person. But if somebody was missing,
Yep.
if somebody was out, we had to
Yeah.
do more guitars.
Yep. If I'm not mistaken, man, they had when I was going to school at MI, they were doing 1,000 a day. They had expanded their
Maybe
Yeah,
they had.
because they have,
Because I think we were at like 5-ish or
Yeah.
something, you know?
and I was mind blown. I was like, 1,000? Like I thought 100 was ridiculous. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
But
no.
I mean, that was just wild, and it's exactly why I always tell people the whole thing is like
you get
get it set
you
up.
get
man.
like I got my hands on tons of guitars every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you realize at the end of the day, well, some guitars sound good and some don't.
Yep,
You know?
exactly. And
So if you ever come across a guitar that sounds good and it speaks to you and you want it, just buy it.
Yep.
Because like at the end of the day, like we're talking about, it's wood.
Yep.
Every piece of wood is different. Everything reacts differently. Everything vibrates differently.
Yep. Resonance, man.
Yeah.
Resonance. It's crazy because a lot of stuff guys they try to skimp out on, and I'm like, dude, like you shouldn't be doing that. Like skimping out on that part, it's very important.
Yeah.
I actually need to grab some water real quick, but
Mhm.
if you want to kind of explain a little bit more in detail about what were you doing at Fender? Because you were doing, were you just doing general setups and like stuff like that?
Yeah, so basically the guitars were coming to us on the line like with strings and with like, the electronics and everything there. And the neck loosely attached. So we had to like seat the neck, make sure it was there. We had to tighten the neck bolts, the neck screws, not bolts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess on a three screw neck plate there are bolts.
Yeah.
Because the 70s style ones.
Yeah.
But doing all of that, set up the action, like, I don't know, it was just like I said, do all of that work. You have to do all of that work within like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on how fast you wanted to get out of there that day.
Yeah. Dude. I mean, normally when I do a setup,
think about like a regular setup,
it could take a while.
Like an hour at least. Yeah. You know what I mean? To do like a regular setup, you change the strings, you kind of clean everything up, you kind of inspect everything. You want to make sure everything is like where it's supposed to be.
Yep.
You might take out the electronics and kind of clean them out because that like gets gunky in there sometimes. Yeah.
The weird faulty parts.
Oh yeah.
And that's the type of shit that like comes out of high production factories and stuff. They're just like, oh fuck it, it's a messed up part, which sucks because I feel like that's a waste of material. It's pretty wild, man.
Well, they do have people that are inspecting every single guitar that's set up at the end of like each row.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes some of the stuff,
and they're supposed to go through everything. So most of the time they catch it, but sometimes you have like intermittent problems that they don't really catch.
Yeah.
And let's say you spend like 20 minutes, 30 minutes to set up a guitar, and then you realize like, oh, the A pull piece on the neck pickup is fucked up.
Yeah.
It's dead.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna push it through and hope they don't notice.
Yep.
And
yep.
Sometimes people would do that.
Yeah, I was working at Eden Guitars, and that was an interesting experience. A lot of the stuff that was coming from China actually at that time, they were like trial and error and like kind of trial error, different styles of guitars and basses. So I was the one that was really going through everything and checking everything, and I was just so blown away by like the lack of attention to detail. Like they're just like, oh, it looks like a guitar, like send it like that, and it would like blow me away, man, because I'd be like, dude, this is so off. Like you put the bridge way too close. It's not even 25.5. It's like 23, 22. Like, and they put the pole pieces there and you're like, yeah, this isn't going to work. I did like a lot of QC work and stuff. And that's what really actually got me more into different kinds of tools.
But you have to think about it at the end of the day. Most of the people that work in a guitar factory aren't guitar players.
Yeah.
So they don't know. They don't. It's a fucking 25 and a half. Yeah. I don't care. It's 23. What's the difference? Yeah. You know what I mean? They don't know that like the formula for the frets on that won't work and it's never going to play in tune.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
exactly. And I guess it was just more for me, it was just, I don't like the waste of materials, like, because I guess, that people talk about, save the planet kind of thing.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. Because in this world, we're working with a finite amount of materials. Exactly. And think about the access to woods that we have now. And and how like rosewood fretboard guitars are like
I was
almost like a thing of the past, pretty much, I
was there for that meeting with CITES, man. We were on a massive conference call with the biggest guitar manufacturers in the industry, and they were saying you cannot import export at the moment rosewood because the Chinese, I think it was furniture market, had taken up all the rosewood and it was on the extinct list. Yeah, and they were like, yeah, you can't do that. And one of the kinds of rosewoods that's phenomenal, and every time I am able to play a guitar with this kind of rosewood is Brazilian rosewood. Yeah. Oh man, I can't even explain that to people.
Well, it's just darker and tighter grain.
Yeah.
And it's all straight grain.
Yeah.
It looks nice.
It
looks
beautiful,
nice.
man. It's beautiful.
And like, if you get a really good piece of Brazilian rosewood, it's almost going to look like ebony sometimes, just because of that.
Yep.
That uniform,
exactly.
And like the dark chocolate kind of look that it has. Actually, check this out.
All right.
I'll show you a quick picture. Let's see here. Look at the fretboard on this.
Oh yeah, you showed me this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like an Indonesian squire.
Yeah.
And it has a Indian laurel fretboard. So it's not rosewood, but it looks like rosewood. But it's got like this really like nice flamey thing going on. And the only thing that it kind of is a bummer is just like it's not straight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if everything was straight, because it's all just like angled.
Yeah.
But if everything was like straight and the lines are going this way and that way, it would look really nice.
Yeah.
And it still looks pretty nice, but it's just like
yeah.
Angle,
Yep.
And he's kind of coming in like this way and the frets are straight.
So. Yep. So when you get a guitar and let's say you want to kind of get it to your specs and stuff, what's the first thing you look for?
I always first thing I do is the truss rod. Like I tune it and then I look at the truss rod adjustment, because a lot of times the action and the intonation don't move, but the neck does.
Yep.
So if you do the neck first, everything else is set up because you took care of the problem. It's the neck that moves. The neck will either, again, it'll go pull or one way or the other. So depending on the climate, depending on the temperature, depending on the humidity, what's going on right now. And usually sometime around summer and sometime around winter, take your guitars to Jake and get them set up because he knows how to do the neck adjustment.
There's some interesting necks like that, they fluctuate with like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Some put like the truss rod, like pieces of metal on the sides of the truss rod to add more stability. Some
carbon fiber.
Yeah, carbon fiber stuff. But overall, I mean, a lot of that stuff, it's pretty straightforward. There's nothing too crazy. Yeah. If you know how to do it properly, you can get a guitar up and playing hour and a half, string change, clean it up, do everything, which is super cool. Actually, that reminded me, I had an Epiphone when I was really little. I think I was like 7 or 8, and I bowed the shit out of the neck, dude, like bad. I remember like hearing it crack, and I was like, I fucked up, man. Like, this is so bad. Because I was like, do I adjust this so that everything goes down? And of course, I was a little kid. I didn't know that you're supposed to spin it at the bridge to bring it down. And I was like, oh, man, I'm pretty sure I messed up that guitar somehow at that time. But yeah, it's also another thing is feeling. How does it feel when you play it? Because I tell my clients all the time, hey, man, you can bring your guitar back. I'll readjust it for you just to make sure that it's playing how you want it to play. Because my preference is my preference. I don't know how your hands feel. I've been playing for a decent amount of time. I could take that kind of beating, but some guys, they use 9 to 42s. I use 10 to 52s. It's a little heavier.
Yeah.
They like their action really low. I can't do that.
I usually set mine. What is it? I think I set mine between 3 and 4 64ths.
Nice.
I think.
Okay.
So, and then neck relief, I have it at like 0.10 on the 7th fret.
Okay. Nice. And you do the capo at the first fret and then
capo first fret and hold it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and hold the last fret.
Nice.
And then like pickups, I always adjust to like what sounds best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the whole thing. Like they have the guidelines, but sometimes it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
The one pickup manufacturer that I will say has pretty good specs on like how to set your pickups is TV Jones.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, like they say, set your pickups to this and this. And you know what? For the most part, they're right.
It works out.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might stray just a slight bit on something,
Yeah.
depending on the guitar, but for the most part,
Works out. It's pretty
I
solid.
think it's 5/16 from string to the top of the pickup, not the
Mhm.
pole piece, but
Yeah.
top of the pickup. I think it's 5/16, something like that.
Have you by any chance tried arcane pickups?
I haven't, but they're supposed to be pretty good.
Dude,
Yeah.
if I could get any pickups, I would only get arcane. It's the first brand that I legit was like, oh wow, phenomenal. Just we talk about the mid-range stuff
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And dude, all of their pickups that I've used, just great. I mean, obviously it's preference for how high you put them and everything. And I always tell that to people too, like, hey man, like if you want to adjust your pickup, do it. If you can do something and not have me adjust it, and it's not something that's that serious for you, like go ahead and adjust it and tailor it to however you're gonna
Yeah.
play. Because some guys get a little too technical, and I'm like, don't forget, all that matters is that you're playing, and it's good to have amazing gear, but you're playing, play the gear so you could really,
Yeah.
utilize all that stuff properly.
The funny thing is, after all these years, I know like when my guitar is like a 64th of an inch off on the action. I'm like, oh man, this is so out of like adjustment. I need to like, and then it's like an eighth of a turn on the truss rod. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, I know what you mean.
So
man.
it's like,
I definitely know.
but it's funny, like you know exactly what it is.
But yeah,
you
it's
know.
just when you've played so much and you've tried different things, you just know.
You know.
Yeah, but like to like an avid player that isn't a tech, that hasn't worked on anything and doesn't like do this shit constantly, like they won't really know.
Yeah, they're like, oh, my guitar's fucked up. And that's all they know.
Yeah, and
But
for
that's
me,
what I'm
like,
saying.
hmm.
Bring your guitars to Jake twice a year in the summer and in the winter.
Yeah.
So he can adjust them.
Yep. Properly. Exclusively.
Exclusively.
Yeah. With gold Allen wrenches.
There you go.
Exclusive. Exclusive only. So I actually have this list right here.
Yes.
So we'll kind of just go over these in just random order, but all right. You have an infinite amount of money, right? You can get whatever guitar you want on this planet. Doesn't have to be super over the top, but just the one that you would want. What would it be?
Honestly, I have everything that I need.
Ooh.
I really don't even care. Honestly, I probably, I don't know. I really
Ibanez Jam, huh?
get a handle on it.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yes.
Probably like the only thing that I would want right now, maybe like a white penguin.
Oh, that's
just
cool.
because that would be cool because I already have a duo jet that's black.
Yeah.
Or maybe a white penguin and a black penguin, but like I don't care about the vintage gear anymore. And,
yeah.
like
okay.
Because I like to mod stuff and I
Yeah.
like to change shit out and like,
okay.
I would probably get a white penguin right now.
That'd be tight.
I mean, like but like
I feel it. I definitely feel it. So going to gigs over the years, what has been a venue that you thought was extremely interesting to play in? Because I know, playing different venues, different places sound better than others and stuff like that.
I don't know. Let's see. I think out of all these years, out of everywhere that I've played in the United States, all over the US, in Europe, in Mexico, the place that I was most excited about playing that I can remember where I was like nervous was fucking Linda's Doll Hut. Like the Doll Hut. Because that's such a legendary place. Yeah. And it's like just like this tiny little kind of shithole dive bar, kind of stinky ass bathrooms and everything, Like that was the only place that I was ever like nervous going to go play. And I played like at BB King's, I played at the House of Blues, I played like the fucking Palladium.
Yeah.
I played the Fonda. I played Knitting Factory. I played the Key Club. Like I played everywhere.
Yeah.
Like all these fucking big clubs or whatever. The place that was always the funnest and the place that just always blew my mind because people were just going crazy and dancing and having a good time and partying, like Linda's Doll Hut.
That's awesome.
Like, you know.
Yeah.
And if you were not there during that era when it was Linda's or like when Anthony and Blue owned it after that, like it's like not the same.
Yeah.
It's just it was just like that those years, like the 90s to the early 2000s, and
definitely.
yeah, that was, and like everywhere else, I don't really care.
Yeah. So what's one of the wildest things that's ever happened at one of your shows? It could have been before the show, it could have been during or after. And I only say that because I've experienced some weird ass shit before a show, and after
And during,
dude,
yeah,
it's like, oh fuck.
There's probably just stuff I can't talk about.
try to pick a PG one, PG-13 one.
Well, one of the things that we always say that we were talking about earlier is like kind of Moonlight Cruisers was like pre-digital,
Yeah.
kind of like cell phone era,
Mhm.
you know, like so nothing was captured. And I'm kind of glad that happened because we always say that we would have been canceled. We would have been canceled. That's it.
Yeah. Oh man, it's interesting times.
Either before the gig, during the gig, or after the gig, Jake. It doesn't matter. We would have been canceled because somebody would have got something at some point, at some time over the course of 10 years where
man,
we would have got the canceled.
Exactly, man.
So I'm not at liberty to say anything.
All right. What's the most memorable show that you remember playing? Something that, a moment that you were like, man, this will stay with me for a long time, because I know playing multiple gigs, multiple people, sometimes the time just passes when you're on stage, you know?
For me, any of the times that I was on stage with both of my brothers, you know.
Nice. Yeah.
Because Andrew passed away in 2009, but between that time, you know, like when we were playing and he started playing with the Rockets, you know, like we did some tours together, you know, Moonlight Cruisers and the Rockets. We did some dates together, like out of town, in town, or whatever. But like any of the times that I would, like, you know, be on stage with, you know, both of my brothers, that was always something kind of special.
Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. There were so many, man, I wish this, I mean, I know I'm pretty young, but I wish like this generation of new musicians could understand what it was back then to play with no social media or like those things, because it was just in the moment.
Well,
you know?
I think that's exactly why Moonlight Cruisers became Moonlight Cruisers, because people didn't know what to expect, and they would go every week, and we're like,
dude,
like every week we were always like, oh well, we hope people show up to the gig.
Yeah.
And there'd be like 1,000 people there.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, I guess so.
I could remember talking to my brother Danny, and I'd be like, dude, let's go see the Cruisers this weekend. Like, let's go. They're gonna fucking play an amazing show, man. And it was always, it was either we were gonna go see you guys, Viernes 13, or some older band. It was always those three. And it tripped me out because I remember the energy that was at the shows. It was always so amazing. Like, I was like, whoa, like this is different level of playing right here, and like showmanship and bringing everything together. Cause, yeah, man, I mean, I was young, and maybe some of those shows I shouldn't have probably been.
You probably shouldn't have been at some of the,
exactly.
because if you saw us, you
Yeah.
probably shouldn't have. You probably saw me do some things with my guitar to Tony that you shouldn't have seen, you know?
Yeah, I remember those times, but it was
did
what
you,
made it.
hey, you were like, what, 7? Did you ever get a shot from the rifle?
Dude, I think that's the footage I saw online that someone was shooting with a camcorder or something, and I was like, "Whoa, fucking major flashback right there. That's crazy." And I remember my dad used to talk about your guys' set, like you just used to be like, "Dude, fucking Al and the guys are just like the energy is amazing. I love it so much because." Back then people you would talk to people and it wouldn't be awkward. You would get to know everybody at a show and it
Yeah.
would be cool. And
Well, the crazy thing is like, we started playing music. I was like a teenager
Mhm.
and everybody, you get all your friends and your
Yeah.
family to come out. Then all of a sudden, like people start coming out to your shows and then you like, you meet them, you become friends with them. And then all of a sudden you're playing shows and it's like less people that you know and then more people that you don't know.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there's like nobody that you know. It's like,
Yeah.
who are all these people and why are
Yeah.
they paying to see us? Like, what happened?
We're
Who
good.
is- what is this?
Yeah.
I don't even, so it's like,
Yeah. Dude, that is so awesome. Was there a moment for you that you felt like, oh wow, like this is getting serious now, with playing and being with the guys and stuff?
it was probably at one point, I think we played like the Palladium for like one of the Rockabilly showdowns or whatever. And then I remember
Nice.
talking to somebody and just meeting somebody, talking to her or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she said, oh yeah, I'm so glad we're here. My friend is at, oh, do you want to go see the Cruisers? And I'm like, and I said, yeah. And I'm like, who are the Cruisers? And like, you, Moonlight Cruisers. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't even know that people call
Yeah.
us that. Like,
Yeah, damn, that's crazy.
so I was like laughing to
Yeah.
myself, like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I never even knew that we were like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
We're always hoping like I said, we're always, hope people go to the show this week.
Yep.
Because we played all the time. We played every week almost,
Mhm.
Like I said, there was always like a good amount of people there.
Yeah. When you first like started playing, and then as you progressively got better, who were the people that like inspired you and made you want to really pursue like learning more about guitar? Because I feel like there's for me there was a couple different thresholds there where like I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was possible to
It-
play like that.
I think like, when I first started playing guitar, there was all like, oh, you have to listen to Steve Ray Vaughan, you have to listen to like,
Yeah.
Jimmy Page,
The
or whatever,
popular.
you know what I mean? Like all
Mhm.
that shit. And like I listened to that. But then I also really got into like Pete Anderson, who's Dwight Yoakam's guitar player.
Okay.
And then I got into, because I had a black Telly back in the day. I got into Telecaster players, so I got into like Danny Gatton.
Nice.
You know.
Legend.
Yeah.
Legend.
But then like as time went on, I just kind of like listened to more and more stuff and more people. And I think one dude that blew my mind was Mark Ribot. Mark Ribot is this kind of like avant-garde kind of like guitar player from New York, but he also recorded this kind of like Cuban album, but it was all guitar based.
Oh wow.
And like for me, that was kind of like the missing link, so to speak, of like the kind of the cumbia stuff that we're doing, but like a more refined kind of version of like a Latin electric guitar thing,
That's sick.
But yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I think like just listening to everybody and you pick and choose. Or I remember the first time I heard Django Reinhardt.
Yeah. Fucking Django.
Like that tripped me out because I knew he only had like the two fingers.
Yeah.
So I mean that tripped me out. Just people, every time you hear something different or something new or something approached in a different way, it's always good.
Definitely.
So
I think there's such a vast amount of music out there that we don't even know exists, and then when we come across it, it's just like like a fresh candy or something you never tried. You're like, whoa, that tastes different, But with music, it's like you think about how they approach the guitar and their mindset towards it, and it's a game changer. I think for me, it's fairly popular, but the John 5 was that person for me. And it just tripped me out. I was like, what? Country, bluegrass, metal? Like that's a little trippy. And he was doing old hitters from the early days of country, like
Yeah.
Sugarfoot Rag and stuff like that. And that was so cool to me, man. And my dad would he would get the albums on CD.
Hmm.
And I remember I met him at Guitar Center in Hollywood, and I was just so mind blown by his set. Like the guys that are amazing at guitar, man, they practice unbelievably, like insanely, and they play flawlessly, and that's what leaves you so mesmerized by those kinds of people, honestly, because
Yeah.
they take that time out of their day to sit and practice and know their instrument and do all these things. And it's honestly, it's like something that's motivational, and then also like makes you think, I gotta work more, I
Yeah.
gotta practice
Definitely.
more, I gotta
Yeah.
figure it out. It's
And
definitely
you're
cool.
100% right. That dude is like, he's definitely like all next level on that.
Yeah, yeah, it's
So,
interesting. But even the guys that older cats that were playing back in the day, they just had a unique style. Maybe they didn't play all the time, but it was how they approached it, their
yeah.
mindset, that it was like, whoa, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Wes Montgomery, for
Yeah.
me, that was
There's
another
just
cool
like
one.
so many cool guitar players out there, and there's just so many. I mean, there's just so much good music.
Yeah,
And the whole thing is like, there's so much good music around the world.
yeah, definitely.
And that's it. And that's like the two fastest ways to get to understand another culture is the music and the
Yep.
food.
Yeah. Ooh,
So,
the food, Karina's tacos.
damn. Maybe we'll hit that up after.
Yeah, that sounds bomb. So, Al, what is next for you? What do you? I know you said you're gonna be going with Dave in January.
Yeah,
But,
we're going to
any
be going
shows
in
or
and
anything?
doing. So this weekend we have. Well, I don't know if this will be out before, but
Okay.
basically, have a gig with Abby Girl this weekend.
Nice.
Next weekend we have a gig that we're doing a toy drive for a friend in honor of a friend's son
Okay.
with Moonlight Trio out in Corona. The weekend after that we're going to be Martinez Brothers with Aaron on bass instead of drums.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
we're Martinez Brothers at Turnbull's Tavern in Whittier, and that.
Nice.
So like, okay, so Abigail, we're playing kind of like 50s, 60s soul, R&B, kind of bluesy stuff. Moonlight Trio, we're doing more kind of like rock and roll, rockabilly, cumbia.
Nice.
And then Martinez Brothers is kind of more honky tonk and Tex-Mex and
Cool.
kind of a little bit of bluesy stuff. So just different. How everything is different.
Nice. Heck yeah, man.
So yeah.
Well, Al, it was an amazing pleasure to sit down with you and
Oh.
do this podcast.
It was
you
an
so
honor
much,
to be
man.
here. Thank you very much. Sorry I
Yeah.
couldn't make it like
Yeah. Oh,
you
it's
know.
all good. Nah, don't even worry about
I was
that.
in Mexico.
Yeah.
Jake, hey, can you come? I'm like, yes, but I'm in Mexico
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming down. And yeah.
Thank you
Till
for
the
having
next
me.
one.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Heck yeah,
For
dude.
sure.
Woo. Cheers, guys.